My name is Nick, and one thing I learned today, how Native Americans used to fish.
My name is Quentin. One thing I learned today is that you had to wait a year if someone died to fish.
And I also learned what Quentin learned, but I learned that it was a written law that you had to do that. It was like a ritual.
Well, thank you for coming today, and it's going to be real nice to have you here. We've had our students studying Washington State history and learning a little bit about Native American studies in Chapter 3, and also we studied the treaty-making period as well as the after effects of that, a little bit about the difference between coastal and plateau cultures as well. So we're fortunate to have someone from the Wasco tribe, which is right there in between the coastal tribe and the plateau tribe. So he knows a little bit about both.
Oh, good.
And thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Terry Courtney. My grandparents called me always, which is little brother. I also picked up a name when I was playing the sports with the Maka, which is Chinachcook, which is just another friend of everybody. I'm Wasco, just up here by the Dalles Dam. Between the Dalles Dam and the Dalles Bridge, there's a little village on the Oregon side, a cluster of old buildings, and that's called Wasauks, Lone Pine Village. And so that's where my ancestry, our people run from. And some of them run clear down here to Wakaikas. It's part of the Jackson clan. When we go back in history, this would be my life right here. Everything that's in this bag would be my life. As a male growing up, play games and everything, but once I'm 10 years old, I no longer am allowed to play games because I have now grown up to where I take these three things, which is twine and a needle or a shuttle, and this is a mesh board or a guide. And by that, I mean that board regulates each and every one of these all the way down. So that's how we're able to keep the net. When you look at it, everything's symmetrical. So once I've been taught to take these two things and to make this net and put it on a hoop, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. When the spring comes, the salmon come up the river and we intercept them. And a lot of you all know that money is wealth. To all the Columbia River tribes, called the river people, this was our money. We caught it, cut it up, dried it, pounded it, made it into chili, and had huge baskets, basket after basket. And to me it was astounding because I dry salmon and we dry fish heads and the backbones. But when you dry the fish heads, they take almost 3 weeks to dry. And if you don't watch them all the time, maggot or little bugs, little beetles come into them. And so years ago they would take a basket that was about as tall as this table and about this round, and put some leaves on it, and they put a layer of once you dry the salmon, jerky, then they pound it all up and lay it in there about that thick, and they'd put a layer of leaves. And they would do that all the way up. And so that was their bank account. So they would have maybe 50, 60 of these bags. So that meant that, that we had to do a lot of fishing. And when the fish started running, we didn't stop for anything. We only fished 12 hours a day, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. A lot of people say, like now, conservation, but the tribes don't look at conservation, because conservation is a last-ditch attempt to save something. The word we used was we lived in balance with nature. If there was 10 million salmon coming up the river, we only needed 1 million. That was good. We didn't take any more than we needed. That was the way the law works. So once you get older, you're going to have to learn how to. We'll start with this one because it's lighter. This is a dip net, and you have to learn how to take one of these poles right here that's unshaved and everything, shave it down, get it as smooth as possible. Then you have to groove it, get your twine, sew it on. And one thing about it, whether you're cutting salmon, preparing the hoop, making the net or anything, you cannot get mad. If you get mad, walk away, because your feelings go into this, and that will ruin your fishing. That's what they say. Now, this one is a set net. I'll take this one out first, and watch yourself. Yeah. Okay. This one is held clear out here, and you're fishing straight up and down like this, but you're fishing about 8-10 feet underneath the water. So when you're fishing, then you take out and you come down, you sweep, and you bring it back up, and you keep coming down, and the water's running this way, so salmon are coming up. So when you come in here, you get used to the water like this, and then when a salmon comes and hits, it won't know what it is, so it'll jiggle, and you'll feel this tremor, and you jerk real quick, and then this is what happens. And it's in there. And so that's one way to do it. And so the faster you can bring this back and get this over, club your fish and get it out, get this on, and put it on here. You all see this? This is what they call part of the trigger string for the dip net. I've tried, when I couldn't get deer leather, I tried cutting my boots, I tried cutting off a belt and anything, it didn't work. This goes in here, in a notch here, and it will not, and most of the time it will not set until the fish gets in there. And that's how it works.
So the river current won't?
No, it won't. If it once in a while it will do it, but it's just because you didn't set it right. And this is a little smaller. This is what that is, and they call it a set net. And all these poles are made out of Douglas fir, Christmas tree. And this one is a lot different. This one depends on a rope that goes out this way, and then you have another one that holds it up against the bank. If you have it too slack, this bounces around, the salmon come right in here and they'll push it out. But once they get in here, you're fishing like 2 to 10 feet underneath the water, so you're not even going to see them. So this is what your trigger string is. You get used to the water fluctuating through there, because the water isn't steady. It boils in there, and then it comes real hard, and then it slacks up real hard, and then when a fish hits, you hear all those rings. Sometimes you can hear them right up through the water and stuff, even if the water's loud. So as soon as that happens, you untie your rope there, and then you just pull it up. Once you get it on the platform with you, you spread your legs out, because when those fish hit you, if you're like this, they can knock you over. So you like this, and you just keep going like this and hold it up here, get your club ready until the fish settles down. And I fish at night, so you look for the silver, and the big part of the silver, the head's right there, because I don't want people to know when I'm catching fish or when I'm gone. Otherwise they figure out you're catching fish and going to come in there, and they try to take some of your gear or take some of your fish. And this is a big one here. But you can see some holes in there. I built this and I used it for about 4 years, and then my mom passed away, so I couldn't fish for a year. And then before I got through my period of remorse, then my daughter passed away, and so I couldn't fish again. And then my dad passed away, and so it was almost 3 years before I could fish again. And that's one of the things that we have to know. And when you first start fishing, the first fish you catch, you put that aside. You have to know where the first fish is, because that goes to an elder. Even though I'm an elder and I'm still fishing, that has to go to an elder. And then as you're fishing during the season, whether you catch 8 fish or 2 or 3 fish or 50 fish, you'll catch one, you pull it up on the deck, and you just put it there and put the hoop down and grab the fish lightly and hold it for a split second and throw it back into the river, because the river owns nothing. When you as a fisherman catch that one fish, it is yours for a split second. You give it back to the river, and the river will always remember you forever.
Okay, I'm Jeff Lindstrom. I'm a history teacher at Henkle Middle School in White Salmon, Washington.
Mike Hannigan, and likewise. And today's presentation was just wonderful. We've spent a lot of time doing book learning, and so it was wonderful to get a real perspective and some real stories about what it was like to be in maybe an Indian boarding school, or how the treaties affected their tribe, and also what fishing meant to their tribe as well.
It was also neat to see the culture and learn the history and how these the people learned how to pass this on to the future generations. So it's much more, it's history alive. You get to see it firsthand, so it's awesome.
Just walk over to the road and back.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm about to laugh.
See, I was going to ask her to walk right through all you people, but when you're fishing, like him and I go there, and I keep telling them, you watch the pole, because I can't. You know, you're walking, because this is the way I carry all mine, you know, like this. So you got the brush and everything, so you never know. And so that one is a lot easier to handle, but the bigger one, where's the big guy? Where's the big guy? Yeah, come on out here.
Oh, David's a big guy?
We need a bigger guy.
Thank you very much.
So,
Dave, go hit the car, whatever you do.
yeah,
Okay.
I know, that's what I was saying.
There you go.
I already told you. So,
There you go, Dave.
Now remember,
Go ahead.
10-year-olds did this, right?
Oh my god.
David.
Yeah, watch your pen there.
Yeah.
Imagine catching a salmon in that thing.
David, let me see that.